Okay, so I'm not gonna lie. I was really hoping that when I saw the military, they might actually be here to do something for us here. It's not my fault. It's not my fault that my Facebook was hacked. I reported it to local, federal, and tribal law enforcement. I don't understand why it's not being put out in the public that the family residency program at Eastern Maine on Union Street through Northern Lights Hospital System, that they were all, most of them were actually all involved and were up here from Florida. They were some of the 200 and something that had been arrested and busted in 2017 for the child sex trafficking ring out of Florida. There was a Mayo surgeon, police, doctors, and then you all say that I'm crazy. Now, if you guys don't know why that was busted and found out, they fired police, they did all this stuff. That was due to the fact that the second kidnapping in Hernando County, that I was a captive, it was June 16, 2016. It was by someone who claimed to be Roy McLaughlin, who was a sheriff. Now, I was arrested by an imposter police officer, one man white, one man black, that day, or arrested. John Havlin and I both, my sister had my sons. John Havlin and I both, as far as I know, both passed drug screens at the jail. It was imposter police, and it was fake drugs. Now, our records were removed, just as the first record from my December 31st arrest, and his January 5th or 6th arrest, 2015, 2016, where on his arrest they put my same mugshot, my same picture, under his name, John Havlin. They've been claiming that we are still on probation up until, July 19th, 2019 would have been our end date, apparently, which was, again, the day that they took my children. They let, another person take my child in court, but it said that my children were supposed to remain with me. Well, I thought they were taken, right? Because this social worker, Betsy, has been so concerned about my mental health, even though the hospital wasn't. She was also at the Best Western in Pennsylvania in the end of August in 2017, when I had I drove down to Florida, or I flew down to Florida with James Nason to pick up a car so I could do something that I really didn't have to do, a substance abuse program in Damascotta. Now I flew down because the people that had worked on my car, because it was in my parents' name, because every time I have a vehicle that is registered in my name, something happens to it, or, I'm just like, I can't remember, but I went to stay at the motel, the casino in Bangor, and I want to say, I can't remember, a really expensive, really expensive black car with New York plates tried to run me off the road on 395. They completely stopped, and then they that was after they chased me down on the interstate. I got to the motel, but that was clearly why Christopher Phaneuf refused to go down there with me. It was a day before my appointment at Mabel Wadsworth that Aaron Chandler had told me that I had no choice, that I had to go for that pregnancy termination. It was supposed to be a health, medically necessary. And then I know that I know it was at least triplets. I just remember, like, because it was a 2-day procedure, I was completely knocked out. They said that I was in labor when the first part of the procedure. I do remember, and they played it back for me when I was in the psych ward at Eastern Maine last year in June and July, but I guess it wasn't supposed to be open until September. But it was during construction. They played my sister doing killing my child. They also played me from the hospital in Portland, Maine Medical, from April 2019. Over and over again. I said they were giving my child to my sister. There were 3 other people in the hospital that day using my name. But I was one with cancer. They said that I had kidnapped my daughter from Stevie, Leigh, McGrane, that I was never pregnant, and that I was in a psychosis, is what the social worker said, as well as Erin Chandler, who had did the C-section. She was not a doctor. It says that it was in York, Maine, that this had happened, but not even exactly true. But no, it was in Bangor, Maine. And then they brought my child somewhere else and said that I abandoned it and went to go do drugs. Because the oxycodone that I had been prescribed and given, as well as my methylphenidate, apparently somebody got access to my private medical records. Confidential, nobody's to know about it. It's supposed to be encrypted as well. And not all of my devices even belong to me. A few of them actually do belong to the United States military. Like my brain-to-brain and brain-to-computer interface. And people have thought it's so funny to hack and override. A lot of people had heard my voice as my great-uncle, James Sapir, because a lot of people wouldn't listen to a little girl. Especially in other countries. As well as I thought, a lot of other things, but, I can't, really finish my video at this time, but I will when I have a later time. The fact that I, have been arrested twice for this other woman that is in the police report, who has been receiving my pain medications, and apparently people are saying that I have HIV/AIDS. Now, if this doesn't have to do with the financial aids that I was supposed to have for the condemnation of Maine out of the Penobscot Indian Nation, which was my money that I was donating, that I have not received a dime of. Now, I want to make sure that everybody had the choice to leave safely. But no. But if it is not, in fact, that, and it is from the medical stuff, which people are saying, then it is the person that has had my child and has been using my identity from the police report November 2019, Passadum, Keg, Maine, Gastia, the one that I am still having to get in trouble for apparently a false public report. I don't know if that is from the Facebook Live when the police came, because I called to report my daughter's bloody pussy genitalia and her black eye at the visitation office, the Penquis, Bangor Penquis office. Because at that time, apparently my child was still in my care, but they were not. So she was still with the Stevie, Leigh, McGrane that has been using my identity. Now, this isn't me. Now, I do not hurt children. I have not seen or talked to my children. I have not been allowed to. I have been threatened that if I speak to my mother in Florida, that I will be put back in jail. Betsy is apparently a counselor and a DHS worker. But she was never my worker. Now, again, I had Patricia McKinley, and then they changed to all these other new workers that were all in training. But this was also around the same time that they were training for the neo-Nazi terrorist cult, which clearly it has something to do with that, because when the yearbooks were changed, people knew how Native I am. It was never a question, growing up how Native I was. Everybody knew. My son, as well, is the only and first blonde-haired, blue-eyed boy person ever to be born with enough Native American to be on the census list. Not the redhead, but that is also from my family. Now, because James Sappier knows that myself and my children were Native enough to be on the census list at birth before it dropped down. Now, it had not dropped down. Now, if it does drop down, then my sisters and my grandchildren would be enough to be on the census list. I'm not quite sure that you guys are understanding this, but I come from an original bloodline on both sides. That being from a lot of different reasons. Now, I've been put into that jail twice. Penobscot County Jail, which I thought was closed since Jen Dyer's death for medical negligence, just like my lawsuit against Hernando County. But then again, mine is also kidnapping, not false imprisonment, because of the fact that they did know about these imposter police at the time. They had even publicly warned about it. And mine is also attempted murder, because they know how to treat an asthma attack. And I was in more than an asthma attack. I was booked in 88% oxygen, which again can cause brain damage. So if I was brain damaged, again, it would fall back on Hernando County Sheriff's Department, because they own and run the jail. There has been 5 deaths in that jail, or that I knew of before I got there. And that, in fact, was why they were investigating the jail, which the guards had told me to do. Now, I'm not from Florida. I am from Maine, born and raised. Moved down to Florida, tried to come home, got arrested by an imposter police officer. Instead of putting that pure enough blonde-haired, blue-eyed woman in jail for playing cop. And I don't understand why my records, it now says $12,000 for a grand theft. Didn't know you could lose your kids for grand theft, and didn't know that it's a $12,000 bond for 1 count of grand theft. So, but yeah, I was kind of hoping the military was up here to help with that. Kind of thought, maybe somebody would actually help me. When I went to the jail the 2 times, it was actually all for that other woman. I really don't want to have to go to jail for that other girl again. If it's the same girl that was screaming out front the house in Florida, that was the same girl that was screaming with Sinette. I don't appreciate Sinette's threats. I don't appreciate her coming onto my reservation and going into my home without my permission, and then saying that it was Chris and Jane's. Well, they're not Native. And I really don't think that the Saco Basins would be okay with what they did to Stephen John's daughter. Because Matthew Storer had brought him to my home to talk to me and speak to me. And he was advised, to keep me safe and protect me. And, I'm pretty sure that got instilled in them on Ryan Road in Bradford. Of my importance of, my political and religious statue. Again, so the second time and I was forced to speak to people from the hospital system that I have my lawsuit against for them kidnapping my children and the attempted murders and them prescribing everything pretty much, and the rape. Yep, the rape. July 4th, the rape. Because Happy Independence Day, Stevie, right? Because it's my fault since we separated. Because they separated for me. And my children. But it's always the social workers from the hospital. They seem to worry about me. Not my children, though, because they'll just hand them right to the people that were known. The social worker, therefore, dropped Chris's domestic violence assault charges, where Quinn and I were listed as the victims, and decided that he was fine, but I was mentally ill. And I couldn't take care of myself. I'm pretty sure I could if people would stop hurting me and hurting my children and hurting my family and threatening us and stealing everything that I have, including my privately owned car. The second time, I was in excruciating pain. It was the same officer from Old Town, from Orono, who, again, lied to me. When I got to that jail, they put me in what would be like the drunk tank or, medical or whatever, because of me being sick and ill and having, terminal cancer, which, yeah, I learned to live with it. And yeah, when it's spread throughout your entire body, it is terminal. When there is no more stages, it is terminal. And they lied to me. That's another lawsuit against Eastern Maine. They lied to me about my brain operation, December 2006, and said that it was a sinus surgery. They also lied to me my entire life about being born with chronic lymphatic leukemia, which is why I'm not as red as I was at birth, meaning that when I started to fade, that I was probably at terminal cancer then too. Now I woke up, and these charges had been dismissed and dropped, and it did say Mr. Stevie Leigh McGrane. So that's where I'm also confused, because I got beat again. I got beat up again because it's a place that I was a man living at my old house on Memorial Drive, where the Fisks had then lived at the end of the road, apparently, in the mayor's old house. Now, I was put online as a man in Florida. They also said that John and I were still actively on probation when we both did time for bullshit violation of probation, because our charges were dropped. But then again, they released somebody else in my name twice from that jail and gave them my prescription pad, which I am still being chased down and hunted for, which I didn't receive, which was due to having a lawsuit against the hospital up here and down there. I am a Native American medicinal healer. I can't heal people without medicine. Can't heal myself, and I only get poison from everybody. So basically the person that you guys are taking their blood from, thinking it's me, either has AIDS, because these people should not be saying that I have AIDS, because I haven't been the one at the hospital. No, I didn't. But I woke up in my own special pod for McGrane. I was in medical. When I went to sleep, and I cried myself to sleep in that jail in pain, there was women. When I woke up, it was a special McGrane pod. Thank God I got bonded out when the fuck I did. Sorry, my teeth are fake, so I'm not grinding my teeth from a meth psychosis, by the way. Because there was 3 men outside of my cell. One of them being somebody that I've met that actually has been nice to me, but he is in fact friends of and knows very well, and possibly his family, of one of the men who had held me captive this past summer. Yeah. So, I was raped in the hospital because the sheriffs brought me there, and I pray to God I don't get raped again. Because that cop's son that roofied me and raped me this past spring, and this isn't me crying fucking wolf. Because why is my sister Melanie saying she was going to call Weinstein on me? The fuck's Weinstein got to do with this? Huh? Like, what the fuck is all this got to do with anything? And if a trucker somewhere doesn't find out what the fuck Amazon is doing, because Amazon sells simulator listening devices, as long as you know their code. But mine was encrypted, layers of encryption, and then on top of it, just like my medical records. So these people don't even have my medical scars. These people don't have my medical diagnoses. So there is a schizophrenic out there spreading AIDS, possibly, who is probably the same one from high school that, those records got swapped. And that was my deal with Acadia, was don't ever let anything like this happen again, and I won't sue the shit out of you. But I'm not burning all my bridges. I want those people, like, incarcerated. Because all those doctors that did all this stuff to us, all they did was you pulled their license. Well, they still have their certificates. They just go somewhere else. Just like all those police officers. Why don't they have to go to jail? Why don't those bad people go to jail? You want to put me away for a non-arrestable offense that was dropped, and because I called 911 because Christopher Phaneuf was in the home when he was not allowed there? Why isn't he an imminent threat? Why isn't anybody stopping Kirk fucking Francis from doing this? Because Tanya is saying every single one of you is mentally disabled and claimed all your fucking money. And if he doesn't realize that I'm his chief, I'm your chief. I am the princess. And for you to say that you made a deal with Venezuela when it was my uncle James Sapir makes me so fucking disgusted, Kirk. You spit on my family's face. Like, where are their graves on that island, Kirk? Where are their headstones, Kirk? Why aren't you answering anybody's fucking questions? Or did you just do this as your fucking plea deal too? From your domestic, because you are an imminent threat. You are an imminent threat, Kirk, and I, for one, am done. I am sick of it. I was the first child medicinal healer of any Native American tribe. My spirit is the Mother Earth. That is what Sammy Sapio said. That was why my uncles were all around when I was a child. David was supposed to help train me. My fox fur was ripped up on that island. My medicine bag, which was made just for me, is gone. It had a fox carved into it from the clouds. Or a rat. I can't do it, but can't do it right now. But that's a kit call. So yeah, maybe the military can fucking do something important and help baby girl. Maybe it isn't Madassa. Maybe my name is Sazus. How would you know? Maybe it's an angel knocking at your door that you're just fucking shunning away.